Marketing on February 2020 at Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi. And recently, Dr. Kumar has been conferred with Global Achiever Counseling Memorial Award at the convocation ceremony of Global Peace University, USA, for his valuable contribution in the field of management, education, and Director of the Year by World Education Conclave 2021. By we warmly invite you, sir, on the dais to share your words of wisdom with the student.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate the initiative taken by CA Professor Akanksha Arora and Finance Department for organizing a talk on pre-budget. Pre-budget discussions are always very important, and I personally believe that all those faculty members who are present here will be also benefiting from the expert deliberations from our own faculty member on this subject. Our students are also here, and as they are from first year, they must be very much interested and excited also to understand what exactly union budget is and how it is going to impact the life of all the citizens. All of you know that union budget will be announced on Tuesday, 1st February 2022. Union Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sita Ramanan will be announcing key decisions taken by the cabinet for the upcoming financial year 2022-23. Last year, if you remember, and if you have got the record of the tax slabs, last year no major revision was made in the tax slab. So taxpayers are again expecting a relief through deductions on rebate from tax in the upcoming budget. It is because inflation has shown a continuous and dramatic increase, leading to an expensive cost of living all around. All of you know that the cost of living because of this pandemic also, that has gone up. All of you are aware of the ever-increasing cost of the fuels, the cost of transportation, resulting into the cost of transportation of all the goods and services. Because of the pandemic, productions got affected and lot many businesses that too got affected. But naturally, the government will have to initiate or will have to consider certain relaxations in the tax slab so that our, all the members of the country, all the earners of the country, they can be benefited. If we talk about the cryptocurrency taxation, the government has shown a positive intent towards taxation on crypto. It is expected that the government will at least bring clarity in this budget about cryptocurrency taxes. There are various ambiguities and concerns about the classification of crypto, applicable tax rates, TDS, TCS, and GST implications on cryptocurrency transactions, etc. While experts are going to deliberate on the subject in a better way, my one perception is there with respect to this budget. All of you know that the work from home, that has become order of the day, be it government, be it semi-government, be it private, be it manufacturing units, or be it any organization for that matter. Naturally, in budget 2022, we may expect tax-free work from home allowances for salaried employees. It's an area on which already ministry had discussed. Allowing tax exemptions for such expenses will raise employees' enhanced salaries, increasing demands for goods and services in the country. Then there are areas like standard deduction, then about Section 80C limits, Section 80D limits, new tax regime, tax saving fixed deposits in parity with ELSS, direct taxes, indirect taxes, maybe introduction of reverse charge mechanism for pushing GST compliance, etc. So there are several things which may come into the budget. The budget is the expectation of all the people in our country. Budget is being seen as an opportunity by all working people to have certain benefits, especially during this period of hardship. While I told you that the deliberations will be made by the expert, these are the issues which, in addition to general discussions, I felt I should communicate as my perception or my expectation from the budget. The taxation on naturally manufacturing products, that will also be reduced, that is expected. Taxation on consumable items, that will also be reduced. It is also expected. Reasons are that the current fiscal year, government recorded high direct tax rates, and it is expected that the benefits of this can be passed upon the taxpayers through exemptions and deductions. With these words, I would like that the discussion, pre-budget discussion, should start. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your words with us. Now, it's my pride to introducing the judge of this event, Head of Department, Dr. Giti Sharma, who is certainly on inspiration and a leader who leads by setting an example for all of us. Ma'am is an IIFT certified professional with nearly 18 years of experience in teaching, research, administration, and development. She is a subject matter expert in economics and international trade, who is known for her innovative teaching methodologies to nurture young minds. She has been bestowed with the Distinguished Academician Award 2020 by Global Research Foundation for her exceptional contribution to academics. She is also an accomplished researcher with many research papers to her credit. She has also published many books and presented papers in international and national conferences of high repute. I know, ma'am, please sharing your words with us.
Dr. Giti, yes.
Yes, I am there.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very good afternoon to Director of the Institute, Professor Dr. Ajay Kumar, the coordinator of the event, CA Professor Akanksha Arora, faculty members of the School of Management, and dear students of first year. So I'm very happy to see to the fact that this event has been conceived and is an event which is driven by BBA first year students. The event is going to talk about the pre-budget forecasting which is going to be announced on 1st of February 2022. And I'm very happy to see that the first year students have done a lot of hard work. They have done a lot of forecasting. They have done a lot of research. And today they'll be coming up with the presentations on the upcoming budget 2022. The union budget is expected to put the economy on an accelerated growth path, especially after the impact of pandemic. So we're expecting certain amendments in the law, to bring about sustainable growth, infrastructure, investment, focus on research and development, and specific focus on the core sectors like manufacturing and services. So, with the optimistic view and outlook, we are looking forward to the announcements which will be done on 1st of February 2022. But before that, we have our experts of BBA first year who have done a lot of research, and today will be coming up with the presentations on the pre-budget talk. So I would again like to congratulate all the students of BBA first year who have taken this initiative along with the coordinator of the event. And I'm looking forward to all these presentations. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. I would once again like to thank Dr. Ajay Kumar, Director of the Institute, the coordinator, and all the students. Thank you so much, everyone. Looking forward to this event. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your words. I now take this privilege to introduce another judge for this event, Professor Abhinav Kataria. He is Assistant Professor at IMS Ghaziabad and also completed his studies from ICFAI University, Tripura. Sir, providing his knowledge to students, nurture young minds. Sir, share your words with us.
Thanks, Paridhi. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So I would like to congratulate all the organizing team members and especially to our director sir and the CA Akansha Arora ji, Giti ma'am, and I am eagerly looking for all the presentations which are scheduled. It's very exciting. I am very excited to see that first year students are coming up with the presentations. So all the best to all the participants.
Thank you, sir. What are the Indian expectations from the Finance Minister and from Budget 2022? To join me on this discussion, participants name Anurag Kashish, Section A. Please share your opinions on 2022 budget. Maximum time limit is 5 minutes for every student.
Who is the first participant, Kanishka? Who is the first participant? Name her.
Kanishka Tiwari.
Kanishka Tiwari. All right.
Kanishka, please share your opinions on 2022 budget.
Ma'am, should I share my screen now?
Kanishka, share your PPT with Anurag. He'll be sharing the screen and you can proceed with.
Okay, ma'am.
All the students who are participating in the event, 19 students are there. All are expected to share the PPT with Anurag. He'll be sharing the screen.
Paridhi, please unmute yourself. You are muted.
While the countdown to Budget 2022 has begun, fueling economic growth amidst resurfacing of COVID concern, Prime Minister and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman have been meeting with the industry leaders and entrepreneurs, private equity investors, gathering their feedback on the state of economy as well as there with the list for the government. Let me quickly recap where the things currently stand for the Indian economy. The GDP has bounced back from a degrowth of 7.4% in Q1 of 7.4% in Q2 of FY21 to a growth of 8.4% in the second quarter of current fiscal year. In the stock market, investors have seen strong gains this year with a Nifty railing 22% year.
Paridhi, just for a moment. Anurag is starting for the first. Okay, he'll be starting. After that, Kanishka will be doing. Now you can start with Anurag.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. A very warm afternoon to everyone. Financial success is not a for a day, it's a particular period of time. Financial success for a nation is also designed over a period of time. It is in the time of February 1st, 2022, when the Finance Ministry of the country decides the financial budget of the country for the upcoming financial year. So, moving on with my presentation. So, as per the understanding of the current economic as of right now, we have predicted to the GDP to increase at historical rates for 2 years, as the country is already 95% of the country is already vaccinated. People are going out and they're spending a lot of money nowadays. So, we're expecting a GDP to grow, and for this financial year 2022-2023, our GDP is expected to grow as 9% for this year. As per we have certain time constants, I'll directly move on to the prediction which I have made. We have top 5 prediction as the nation as a whole. If the presentation is not sharing.
Your screen is visible.
Visible, okay, ma'am. So we have certain prediction of the economy as a whole. The very first is the infrastructure and asset monetization. We have already knew that the government of India has decided for the disinvestment of the biggest company, that's LIC, and it is to be done in this year. So there was a lot of disinvestment plans which have been made in the year 2020, but was not satisfied due to the COVID pandemic. For this year, government of India has plans for certain asset monetization projects and to build on infrastructure. Also, the national pipeline mission is on a very fast pace, and we're expecting a certain increase in the asset monetization section of the country. To support the MSME sector, government is trying its best, as MSME sector works on the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat, which will help India to grow and also be on the mission of Make in India campaign. So it's the MSME sector which will gain a lot of momentum in this budget coming in the 1st February. Third is the support to disappropriately impacted sector. As we have seen that the COVID pandemic has caused a lot of impacts on different sectors of the country. The very impacted sector is the hotel industry and the tourism. For the tourism, there is a proposal that government of India should adopt sandboxes, which basically means that to allow all the vaccinated tourism to come in India. That concept has been already introduced in the countries like Thailand and Indonesia. As per it is concerned with boosting the exports, government of India has already removed certain restrictions which have caused many of the countries not to export the goods. But India is growing as an export center in a very fast scale. In this year, we have exported more than 140 billion software exports, which is more than even the oil that has been exported by Saudi Arabia. Then there was a focus on the social sectors, that's education and health, as these two sectors have been affected by the COVID pandemic a lot. Moving on with the final section, the very first sector which I have considered for my presentation is the direct tax. What all reforms can come in the process of direct tax? The very first thing is allow for CSR expenses for the pandemic-related expenses to be deducted. It is expected that the CSR expenses which the companies and the organizations are doing Now it is not considered as business expenses, but in this upcoming financial year, this will be a tax deducted, means the money which you are earning and the amount which you are giving for CSR, that will be minus, and your taxable amount will be less than the CSR, means what you are providing to the people while doing the CSR activities. So it will be business expenses, it is considered. Then it is establishing a tax policy for framework for cryptocurrencies. Government of India is now, and the youth of the country is very now attracted towards the new concept of cryptocurrency, bitcoins and all. So for this reason, there is not at all any particular tax, any particular regulation that has been there in the government for the cryptocurrencies. So as of now, there is an expectation that for cryptocurrency, there will be different provision which will be talking about the taxation amount for cryptocurrencies and different concepts of cryptocurrency. Then talking about the indirect tax for the government, first it is expected that the government of India will have more emphasis on industrial taxation. That's the government of India has already announced 76,000 crores to elevate the Indian market microprocessor shortfall. Basically, in the manufacturing sector, there was a microprocessor shortfall, and government of India has already announced 76,000 crores budget already for that in the previous financial year. So in this financial year, to achieve the goal of 5 trillion economy, government of India can have a lot of incentives so that it can achieve the goal of 5 trillion economy in the country. Then there is changes to SEZ schemes that are beneficial are required. There are certain special economic zones that have been created by the government, and these special economic zones are being now converted to the DTA, that's the domestic tariff area. But on this conversion, there is a slight discussion, and it is not yet confirmed by the government. Though it is expected that the SEZs will not be converted to the DTAs because it will hamper the process of foreign investment in the country. As per changes in GST is concerned, for the past many years, GST there is no such changes in GST. But recently, they had a GST meeting, and it is considered that the amount of GST transactions will be slightly been changed, and the type and the way in which GST is being collected, there will be a big reform in that section as well. So there will be a GST reform in the country. As per personal tax is concerned, that what we pay, there is a changes in the slab rates, taxation rates. That's a major part that all Indians are expecting. For the many years, there was no changes in the taxation slab rates with the government. But as per we see the corporate tax, that it is slightly been reduced. With the corporate tax, there is a expectation that the personal tax will also be reduced. Now it is the highest slab rate of 30% if you earn more than 10 lakh rupees. So that is expected to reduce by 25%, and that 10 lakhs slab will be increased to 20 lakhs. And the highest amount of tax which is there as in India right now is 42.74% if your income is more than 5 crores, but that is going to be reduced to 35.62%. That's what assumption made by the big economists and by different stakeholders in this field. Then there is a reduction of taxation of the work from home policy. There is an assumption that the government of India will provide some assumption, some amount of money that they will not be going to be taxed, because we are expending a lot of money for the work from home. We are spending on technology, we're spending on our infrastructure, furniture to get all this online stuff being created. So it is expected that there will be a reduction of tax if you are spending that money in all these cases. So that's a very big point, because already 2 years we are going with this pandemic, and we are spending a lot of money from the work from home this for doing this. Then as for manufacturing sector is concerned, there's a very big assumption that power sector, railway redevelopment, and airport redevelopment will be considered as special businesses as per Section 35 AD of the income tax. It states that Section 35 AD has some special provision for the businesses, and till now, this power sector, railway redevelopment is not yet been different. This is being considered as same business, ordinary. But at this financial year, it is expected that these sections will be considered as special businesses as per Section 35 AD of the income tax, which will provide certain resumption, which will provide a lot of benefits to these companies related to the tax which they are paying. That's a prediction this year. As per education sector is concerned, we know that we are going with the new education policy. To implement the new education policy, Government of India can increase the current limit of 5 crores for priority sectors in means for school lending. If you are going for lending in the land of a building for schooling, then there will be a current limit of 5 crores that Government of India can do. Second thing is that making higher education institutions a priority financial sector. For higher education institutions, if colleges and universities are to be set up by the private bodies, Government of India is going to provide some tax benefit which will ultimately promote the new education policy in the country. As per tax changes are confirmed, then in India we have certain IBCs, that's the international branch campuses. I talk about the University of Chicago. They have an office in Delhi NCR, that the University of Chicago Delhi office. So foreign companies, sorry, foreign universities and colleges are coming in the country for setting up branches. In the case of IBCS, Government of India can provide a lot of tax exemption to this institutions if they're coming in the country. Like they will direct the taxation, tax rate will be reduced, and all these changes can come in the case of IBCS in the education sector. As for the technology industry is concerned, we have a prediction like creating advanced manufacturing jobs, the semiconductor solution. With increased digitalization expected to continue in the post-COVID world, about the 5G telecom that is coming, and it is a matter of discussion about the 5G in India very soon. So, government of India is trying to create a lot of jobs in the semiconductor field, because without that semiconductor thing, these technologies can't be really adopted. So, there will be a part in this financial budget this year that will talk about the semiconductor, that how these semiconductors can be financed to the government of India's budget, and government of India will also promote the companies which are going for the semiconductor solution for India. Then, as you know, that make in India, India produces 2% of world electronics that have been produced, but still it's very less. For this reason, the government of India has a plan to boost this section by making India campaign. So, government of India can allow for electronic manufacturing services, particularly through schemes such as Production Linked Incentive Scheme (PLI) and a scheme for promotion of manufacturing components of semiconductors. Again, it's a concept of semiconductors coming into play, where semiconductors can play a big role in India's Made in India and for promoting the electronic industry of the government. Then about the 5G and the future of communication. For implementing 5G and this broadband stuff, Government of India is spending a lot of money, and it is expected that in this budget, a major chunk of this budget is going to be spent on 5G communication. Like there will be many regulatory supports, and there will be various tax exemption to the companies which are initially going to bring 5G. As per the market indices, already companies like Airtel and Jio are on a plan to bring 5G in the country, and Airtel to some extent have already started working on it. So Government of India, through its financial reports, can provide some exemptions to these companies for making 5G to the country. As per the consumer industry is concerned, we have prediction like to accelerate multi-channel or hybrid capacities and make it easier to do business in the country. We have seen that during the COVID pandemic, a lot of businesses have transformed online, but there were certain businesses like retailing and the local shops which have suffered a lot, and there were certain businesses that have prospered equally. For this reason, the government of India has plans to bring a hybrid channel which will be pan India, so that all these retail businesses which have suffered losses that can be recovered. So that's a main motive of the government this year, to provide a one-stop shop that will be online as well as offline. If I talk about Reliance Market, in Reliance Market we have the offline stores as well, and we have online also. So that government of India is planning to bring on a pan-scale level for all the retailers across India. So it's in the consumers industry that this thing can come in the annual budget. And for this, and they promote the e-commerce, India allowing to export 10 billion worth of goods, that will be a foundation for a strong multi-channel retail environment in the country to promote retail industries. Then about infrastructure development to optimize retail supply chain. The same case comes over here for the retail segment. That retail segment has faced a lot of issues in the COVID pandemic, like they were unable to get good quality products and raw materials due to the entire lockdown and all. So for this reason, the government of India is planning to establish a optimized retail supply chain across the country, so that these retailers and these small shops will not be affected by the COVID pandemic a lot. They have talked about new concepts like the supply chain logistics. They have already established some parks like the multi-dimensional logistics parks, which can boost the retail segment in the country. So that's all about the consumers industry. Talking about the financial sector, the most interesting part, the very first thing is the reduction of the tax, withholding taxes on financial services, security transactions. As that sir has also told about the security transaction. When we're buying a share, so there is a STD charge which has been charged by the Indian stock market. So that STD charge can be reduced to a lot of extent, and that's a very prediction, and it is predicted by a lot of economists that STD charge can be reduced. Even the financial services transaction charges, which are being charged by different monetary authorities, like the SEBI and the RBI, that could be reduced to a larger extent.
Just I'm interrupting in between. Anurag, please wind up soon because we have other participants as well, and you have crossed that 5 minutes
I'm just
bar.
one page limit. Just
All
one.
right, just conclude it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Then about the cryptocurrencies regulatory and tax structure. As I previously said that cryptocurrency is a very booming sector right now in India, and everyone is waiting for a cryptocurrency law that will be imposed very soon by the special act of parliament. And government can also introduce many reforms in this section, like introducing new tax field and making the things very clear that how taxation will be charged for cryptocurrency transaction in the country. Talking about the so this was the last section. And to conclude my speech, I would definitely say that for this year's financial budget, people have a lot of expectation from different segments, right? From the consumers to electronics, manufacturing, and to whatnot. The government of India's budget will be on 1st Feb, and it will be an eye of every Indian to the budget that day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anurag, for sharing your word with us. I would like to call Kashika Tiwari. Kashika Tiwari, please share your opinions regarding 2022 budget.
I'm sharing the screen, just a minute.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kanashka Tiwari from BBA first year, section A. So here I am now telling you about what are the pre-budget analysis, and I have basically covered what corporate leaders are thinking about. So these are the expectations from corporate leaders. So it is basically about the Nilesh Shah, who is the MD of Kotak AMC. So he's pointing out that we need to make purchasing financial items as simple as purchasing gold. We need to educate people about the fact that gold is not cure for saving and investing. So he's actually pointing out that people are so easily purchasing gold and they are not into the investing. So he's expecting that government should do or make people aware that what benefits investing can have on people life. Next, please scroll down, Anurag. A little bit up. So he's saying that 2021 budget was dominated by growth and actually re-rated the market. So what will be the unique thing this year's budget could pick the market's interest? So from a market perspective, today's commerce, agriculture, private investment, and government expenditure are all higher than pre-pandemic levels. Yet the most driver of our economic consumption is lower. So the budget needs to support consumption, particularly at the bottom of the pyramid. And we have witnessed what a difference Narega has made in the rural economy. Anurag, please scroll down. And the second step will be to provide the tax breaks or other forms of assistance to the housing industry. The housing industry employs the greatest number of people. So, and it is the least reliant on imports. So, a small boost to it can give a big impact on the economy. For example, when the Maharashtra government offers a stamp duty exemption for a limited time, it effectively delays housing purchases and aids in the liquidation of the inventory. So he is expecting that budget to emphasize how India is encouraging ESG across the board, not just in business entities. ESG means environmental, social, and governance. And the last point he's focusing is Jan Nivesh Yojana, which is identical to the Jan Dhan Yojana. And Jan Dhan Yojana assures millions of Indians who previously had no access to banking services now have bank accounts. So he's actually telling that now we should move from bank accounts towards the investment. Scroll down, please. Next. So yes, he's telling that he has the budget can actually be able to provide a growth if the budget is focused on pro growth, supports consumption, stimulates domestic savings to fund domestic investments, and talk about the government's environmental, social, and governance objectives. Next, Anurag. Please scroll down further. Scroll down. So yes, this is the main thing, that what corporate leaders are thinking about budget 2022. So before that, there's a assumption from Shanta Thotam, who is the Chief Innovation Officer of Telangana State Innovation Cell, Government of Telangana, that she's saying that there might be a mandate to provide funds for innovators and entrepreneurs, particularly women, who are disproportionately affected by the epidemic, as well as the application of emerging technologies that can pave the way for not only robust but also inclusive economic development. A million of Indians have been impacted by COVID-19 pandemic, particularly in the underdeveloped areas, and we must work together to reconstruct India as soon as possible. Anurag, please scroll down. Though state and inheritance tax incentives, the government could consider growing private charity. Indeed, charity has progressively increased to INR 64,000 crore in fiscal year 2020, up roughly 23% from previous year. So now there are points that what are the basic assumptions corporate leaders are thinking about. So first, they are thinking about the increasing spending on healthcare sector. Scroll down, Anurag. Despite growing institutional delivery rates, India's maternal mortality, infant mortality, and stillbirth rates remain unacceptably high. So this is what the saying of Dr. Evita Fernandez, who is the chairperson of Fernandez Hospital in Hyderabad. So she wants that to lower down these rates, it is necessary that skilled, high quality, respectful, and evidence-based care is provided to the professional midwives. And the Indian government is dedicated to establishing midwifery-led care clinic units through its public health facilities. And I hope that the union budget could invest in expanding this unique workforce.
Please adhere to time limits.
Okay. So next point is about allocation of digital education. So it is said by the CBO Manoj Chawla that in the context of both investment directives are required, children must share devices with siblings and parents. So he actually wants that virtual education has the potential to reach every family and give kids more option, improve literacy, and but he's actually focusing that rural areas are not having much access to digital education. So for that, the government should firstly provide financial assistance to them. Please scroll down, Anurag. Little bit up. And he's also talking about the edtech sector by enacting 100% FDI policy, which will allow it to raise additional funds. It would enable them to spend the R&D edge to edge. Next point is fast track digital scaling and AI. Anurag, please scroll down. Yeah. So Ratandeep Singh, who is the India CEO Skill Up Online, so he wants that government should increase investment and emphasize on digital infrastructure, particularly India's rural and semi-urban areas. And furthermore, they are hoping that GST rates can be cut to 5% in order to promote and support digital scaling in India.
Kanishka, I would like to interrupt. Kanishka?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Kanishka, if you can summarize in next 1 minute.
Yes, ma'am. I have last point after that. Anurag,
All
please
right.
scroll down. Exemption for loans on electric vehicles. So please scroll down a little bit. Yeah. So Samir Agarwal, who is the founder and CEO of RefFin, he's saying that EV financing will become the major enabler for EV adoption in the next few years, and attractive economies and government support have already boosted demand for EVs significantly. But the commercial EV market, which is predicted to be a key growth vertical, is hindered by a lack financing choices, which remains the greatest hurdle. So according to him, a digital lending platform focused on increasing EV adoption, the industry has the potential to grow USD 150 billion by 2030, and the finance minister's attention to ease access to financing, particularly for the unbanked, will do good to the segment. And the last point was about the real estate, FMCG, and textiles. Yeah, so thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kanishka, for sharing your opinions with us. I would like to call Gunjan Tyagi. And please, every student, follow time limit.
Anurag, can you please share the screen?
Just a minute.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gunjan Tyagi from BPA first year. So not taking much of the time as the time limit has been set. So jumping towards the expectations from different sector that we have. Next slide. So the first expectation that comes from the healthcare sector. What in healthcare sector expect from the budget 2022? As we all know, and it is genuine, and people have high expectations from the budget about the healthcare sector. During the pandemic, the healthcare sector has provided a lot. So the expectations from this includes the allocation of fund in this sector across entire infra, especially on the medical cold chain for the success of NIP, that is National Immunization Program, which will ensure that the country is pre-immunized for any kind of the pandemic that will happen in future. As we all know that the last year, the finance minister of our country has introduced Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana with an outlay of 64,180 crore with a promise of progressively, as institution absorb more, we will commit more. Next slide, please. And it is also expected that this budget for the healthcare sector relating to increase from 1.8% in the total outlay to 2.5% of the GDP of this year. Now coming next to the real estate sector. Anurag, next. Now coming to the real estate sector expectations, the real estate sector has shown an extraordinarily resilience during the pandemic, but has now shown a positive growth and need a little push to liquidate the project that have been stuck for a while. Home purchase are at the priority of many peoples, according to the No Broker Real Estate Survey 2021. As of now, the interest rate at home loans are 6.5 to 7%. So this year budget needs to be reboost the demand of buying segment by pushing the tax rebate on house loans to 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs to trigger the demands. And another relevant thing that this budget can do for real estate is to redefine the definition of affordable housing sector. Now coming to the next, that is stock market. Anurag, next. As we all know, stock market has a severe and great impact on our economy. Stock market, it is seen that the union budget can have a say on the removal or reduction of STT, that is security transactional tax, because it was initially introduced in place of LTCG, that is long-term capital gains. But now we have both STT and LTGC, which is not fair for the Indian investors. So the stock market penetration has been increasing, and the policies, government can take special policies to make Indian stock market more investment friendly. Coming to the next, that is EV industry. That is electrical vehicle industry. As we all know of the part of India's growing EV industry, we hope that the union budget include lowering of GST tax, that is 5 to 2% on the raw material, especially for the EV players, allocating funds for the clean air campaign, which could be brought under the Swachh Bharat mission as to create awareness among the people and to move the mobility to electric vehicles. To further strengthen EV market, government could consider categorizing EV as the priority lending sector. This will make EVs more affordable, and the users can easily shift to EVs despite these fuel industries. And next comes the cryptocurrency or blockchain sector expectations. As at the time when the cryptocurrency industry has on its high, but it is but in Indian market it is a little uncertain. For a long time, cryptocurrency has been waiting for the cryptocurrency bill to be passed, dealing with the regulatory compliances surrounding cryptocurrencies and the taxability of direct and indirect taxes laws. So the upcoming budget should focus on regulating the sector by classifying cryptocurrency as an asset for the Indian and providing regulatory clarities in terms of tax applications clarity. Self-regulatory bodies or groups can be made for the cryptocurrency or blockchain investors so that digital India can be promoted. And coming to the last segment is SMEs, that is small medium enterprises. Over 99% of MSMEs are small micro enterprises, with whose turnover is less than 5 crore rupees. In November 2021, our government announced special credit schemes for MSMEs in the service sector. This should be extended to SMEs whose turnover is less than 5 crore. This will enable them to adapt new technologies and become in new growth areas. Subsidizing the cost of fund to NBFCs that focus on lending the small merchants for loan below rupees 20 lakh in a way to access credibility. So the concluding my speech is that there are several sectors that have a high expectations from this budget, and it can be seen that this budget can fulfill all these expectations. Thank you.
Thank you, Gunjan, for sharing your opinions with us. I would like to call Akshali Mittal for sharing your opinions regarding 2022 budget.
Good, Anurag is screen.
I think it's Isha Maurya, the next presenter.
Sorry. I would like to call Isha Maurya for sharing your opinions regarding 2022 budget.
Anurag, please present on the screen.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
A very good afternoon to the respected HOD and director, sir. This is Isha Maurya. I'm here to present my pre-budget presentation to everyone. So as we know, the countdown to the budget 2022 to 23 has begun at a time when the country has been hit by the third wave of the COVID-19. So the pre-budget discussion begins over here. The budget expectations. The fintech sector wants lesser taxes and more support. The healthcare sector may see a boost amid COVID-19 pandemic. From an overwhelming number of patients to a plethora of innovation, government initiatives, vaccination drives, and finally the ray of hope to end the pandemic. In the previous year, the total allocation for the healthcare stood around to INR 2,23,846 crore. This year, the sector is expecting about 10 to 15% hike in the budget. There would also be healthcare sector to reduce the GST on the healthcare sector products. Tax holidays reduce import dependence, increase domestic product. To grapple with the situation, it is expected that the finance minister shall announce the tax holidays and exemption, which essentially aim at reducing import dependence and increasing domestic production as well as services. The PLI schemes that are expected to boost India's exports while reducing reliance on imports of heavily used items in India are steadily recognized on success. Oil and gas sector that is reeling under the pressure of the domestic tax and regime, the sector expects a reducing till a decision takes. There would also be, the government is also struggling to hit a double-digit fiscal for the financial year 2022 to 23. The Indian Monetary Fund has estimated that India gaps will grow by 9.5% for the current fiscal year. For the next fiscal year, 22 to 23, the IMF projects Indian economy to grow at 7 to 9% this year. The small auto components, as we know that Pradhan Mantri announced about the Gati Shakti Yojana, so we could expect that the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman would announce the same on the small auto components. Anurag, could you please skip in the next slide? Next to next. About the FinTech Center. As we know, the FinTech is the integration of the financial and technology, as the word suggests. The FinTech sector has urged Finance Minister to further liberalize the tax regime for the financial year 2022, arguing that it has an immense potential to promote the financial inclusion and generate the employments. In order to ensure the benefits of the financial technology and digital payments percolate to the customer in the rural areas, the government can focus on the expanding of the digital infrastructure. The backslide. Indian Railways seeks a record of outlay of 2.5 crore due to the non-participation of the private sector companies in the privatization of the train. The last year tender has been scrapped. In a new way, the tender would be started. There would be a relaxation in the haulage charges, revenue sharing. There were many private companies that showed their interest, including L&T, BHEL, but only IRCTC and Medha Engineering participated. So there would be a roadback again by Nirmala Sitharaman to run 150 private trains in the country for long distances. The aluminum train would be put into action. Along with that, there would also be increase in the share of the IRCTC to 40% in the current level, about 28%. Indian Railway budgetary allocation would increase by 20% YOY. Revised allocation may be as high for 2.5 lakh crore. May design freight wagons for distributed power similar to the Vande Bharat Express. Railway may also push for Hyperloop, full electrification of the railways and other tech to become a green transporter. Could you please skip to the small auto components? It's back, auto components. The small auto components may seek a stimulus package from the finance minister. A decline in the sales of the automobile last few years due to the economic slowdown in the financial year 19, price hike and anticipation to the BS6 in financial year 20, as well as the corona pandemic, are the factors influencing the economic slowdown of the automobile sector. The auto sector was among the worst hit due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We suggest that the upcoming budget should also focus on improving the gross enrollment ratio. The current GER stands at 27%, and therefore we expect the government to come up with the measures to reach 50% GER by 2030. The domestic auto components will also see a revenue growth of 15 to 17% this fiscal. In rural areas, the tire demand for the LCV cycles may increase. A pickup in the economy argues well for the commercial vehicle sales in addition, and the scrappage policy and the strict inspection of the pollution under control certificates would boost the aftermarket of the auto components market. There would also be a hike in the hydrogen gases, CNGs, as they are much cheaper. There would be alternates to to the petrol and diesels by using hydrogen gas and full electrification of the market. Could you please skip next one? Yeah, health sector. Healthcare sector must be raised to 2.5% this year by the government. It is an overwhelming. In the previous year, the total allocation for the healthcare stood around 2,23,846 INR. This year, we expect a 10 to 15% hike in the budget of the healthcare sector. Next slide, please. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Isha, for sharing your opinion with us. Now, I would like to call Akshali Mittal for sharing your opinions with us regarding 2022 budget.